Well, it's the holiday season, and holiday number 3 has now come and gone. Yes, Christmas, New Year's, and the Lions. Season's over, week 17. They can go home for the winter and the spring. Once again, Vikings beat the Lions 37-35 in week 17. Their 4th straight loss to finish the season. They end at 5-11. Somehow, Dave, this felt much worse than 5-11, and that is because of the defense of this team. It ends up being the worst defense in Detroit Lions history.
That's terrible.
They came into this game needing to allow just 262 yards to break the franchise record. All they did was hold the Vikings to 508 yards in today's game. So, yes, we have a worse defense all time as far as yardage goes.
We sucked.
Oh, but hold on. That is not all, my friends. They also allow the most points in Lions history, 519 on the season, 6,716 yards total. And this is why it's hard to believe, Dave. That breaks the record of the 2008 Detroit Lions. If you don't remember those clowns, they were the first team in NFL history to finish 0-16.
I'm totally embarrassed and totally ashamed.
Matt Patricia brought here to be the man, to bring a championship to Detroit, to make this team a contender. Instead, he brings the worst defense in Detroit Lions history, almost the worst in NFL history as far as points go. They just end up shy of the 1981 Indianapolis Colts, who may have still been in Baltimore at that point. I think they were. Baltimore Colts. They were so bad, they said, see ya. And they moved to Indy. But, yeah, Tracy Walker on how he wants this defense to be remembered, Dave. I don't want it to be remembered again, to be honest with you. That is a direct quote. That is what he said. So now the questions begin. The offseason is here, and there are plenty of questions, and they have been being asked, actually, for a couple of months now. Free agents, loads of them. Obviously, a new GM, new coach. That has already started. And then the big one, Matthew Stafford. Dave, where do you want to start? Do you have anything on this game, actually? Do you want to start there, or do you want to just jump into these questions right away?
And I'll just say a couple of quick tidbits about this game. It was another fun performance from Stafford. Is it the last one? Quite possibly. I won't say it's the last one in Detroit because he may go somewhere where he gets to play here often, which would be kind of cool. But it was cool to see him, go out there and fight and battle. And obviously he was not feeling the best. They definitely had a chance to win this game. And I definitely feel like they got jobbed out a little bit.
The officiating was awful.
I think that's the best takeaway from it. If it is his last game, it's an end of an era. And like we've said many times, I look very much forward to seeing what becomes of his situation, and obviously with all of the things that the Lions have to address.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll hit, since you're already talking Stafford, we'll start there. But I do want to say, you mentioned job. If you didn't happen to see it, the Lions had a 4th down stand, 4 straight plays. Awesome job by the line there to hold the Vikings at the goal line. They sack Kirk Cousins on 4th down. Tracy Walker is called for a roughing the passer. It's that new rule where you can't put your weight on the guy when you tackle him, otherwise known as tackling. He was penalized for that. Everyone on earth said that was the worst call of all time.
Bogus! That was bogus. Yeah, they missed that. That was bogus.
It sucked. It stunk.
Everyone. This was not just, Lions fans being, Lions fans. This was bad. So they would score 2 plays later. Also, Marvin Jones caught his 3rd touchdown pass of the game. I was a little worried about that one. As soon as I saw the replay, I'm like, that ball moved. They may call that. But you couldn't tell. There was not
Right.
evidence. Now, they did end up scoring on that drive anyway, so whatever. But yes, the one down there, they got screwed. But it helps them draft position-wise. They came in possibly going as high as third. That's not going to happen now. They could fall all the way to 13th. We don't know where they're at as of our taping here. They could end up 5th, 6th, or 7th. That's where they're going to end up. As for Stafford, my gosh, he was flirting with a perfect passer rating there for a while, man. He was just dropping dimes all over the field. He had 2 touchdown passes dropped in this game. Also, don't forget Mohamed Sanu dropped a 52-yarder. I mean, he was incredible. He had the one pick where he did something he doesn't normally do, and that's stare a dude straight down. But Marv was his guy all day, so he was staring him down. And Marv really is his only Hawkinson too, but you know, you got guys injured. Kenny Golladay hasn't played in weeks, months actually. But Stafford, man, incredible. If this is his last game, he reaches 45,000 passing yards in 165 career games. Dave, do you know how many others have done that quicker than Matthew Stafford?
3.
0. The answer is 0. No one in NFL history has gone to 4,500 passing yards quicker than Matthew Stafford. Granted, he plays in a passing era, but
well, and also remember, it's just garbage stats.
Yeah, it's all Pat Stafford is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, by the way, if that's true, then and he's no good because he's just padding his stats.
Right.
What does that make Calvin Johnson? I was just wondering. For all those that think he's the greatest receiver of all time, what does that make him? He must have caught all his passes in the first 3 quarters. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. All the talk all day was about him. Pre-game, post-game, halftime. The Fox guys all said wasted talent is what Howie Long said at halftime. Extraordinary talent that is wasted. And then Tony Gonzalez asked, where's he going to go? And Howie then butts in and says, who wouldn't want that guy? So there you hear that. You sent me an IG post from Pat McAfee that basically said the same exact thing. He says, can we please stop with the Wentz to Colts stuff? If we're going to trade for a QB with that massive contract, let's go get Aaron Rodgers, or how about, all caps, Matty Stafford. LeGarrette Blount, who used to play for the Lions and has played with a guy named, Tom Brady, he says, I'm with you on that. Let's talk about it on the show. That's all I can see on this screen cap here, and there's probably plenty of others. Like we've been saying, dude, this guy is so acknowledged, I guess is the word, by everybody in Earth except for about half the people in Michigan. And anybody involved with the NFL thinks this dude is just waiting to be put on a team to take them to who knows where in the playoffs. Just get him some help and get him a defense that isn't the worst in the world.
Have we ever seen a quarterback be picked out of a bad team that has performed the way that he has? And I don't remember anybody being like, oh, well, let's get this guy out of here. He's got to get out of here so he can go somewhere, be successful, and win a championship. And I don't think it's happened. And it just goes to show you, like, that's what Detroit's looked at as a whole. Like, they're like, get this guy out of Detroit. You know, the franchise is a mess. The team's been terrible. And he's a diamond in the rough. And it's incredible the amount of national publicity that he is getting, most likely because it is going towards the end of his career. But I agree. Like, if you don't have one of the, top 5 quarterbacks that are up and coming and all that stuff, I mean, I would be surprised if everybody called about him.
Well, other than he's been banged up the past couple of years, he's in his prime. He's in his prime right now. He is at his peak. This is as good as, he is. If it's going to happen, it's got to happen now. And why wouldn't it happen now when you're getting a new GM and a new coach and you're probably rebuilding, as we'll get into later? They have numerous free agents on this team, and you can't expect, who knows if any of them are going to re-sign. So now's the time, if you're going to get rid of him, to put, and there are plenty of teams that need quarterbacks. I mean, I got it right here. Next year, you're looking at probably the 49ers, the Bears, the Broncos, the Colts, Cowboys. Who knows what's going to go on? Dak coming off injury, and he wants $40 million a year. The Eagles, probably. The Falcons, the Jaguars will take someone with the number 1 pick. The
Right.
Jets probably will take the other guy with the number 2 pick, but who knows? The Panthers, the Patriots, Raiders, maybe. The Steelers, what's going to happen with the old fella? And Washington is playing currently with a guy who has 1 leg. Like, all those teams need a quarterback. He very well could go. And that's been the talk. He wouldn't answer whether he wants to leave or not. He would not say. We do have this for you, though. Matthew Stafford, when asked about his future today after the game, take a listen to this.
I'm not going to get into that hypothetical. You guys can talk to me after whatever my last game is here. Who knows? So, but until that's final, I'm not going to have any thoughts on that. Sorry.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Matthew.
Dave?
Sorry to make this all about, your future and whatnot, but what will go into that decision? I mean, do you know what you want to do and you just don't want to say it, or do you have to sit down and make some discussions about what you want to do, going forward?
I mean, I got 2 years left on my deal here, so there's a lot to discuss. I'll obviously, keep that between my family and I and all that, but we'll figure it out at some other date, I'm sure.
Now, he was not asked, do you still want to be in Detroit, which he has been asked in the past, and he's always said, yes, I want to be here. He didn't say that. He's like, well, we'll talk about it. So the door is definitely open for him, and he knows, look, I'm in my 30s. Nothing's ever happening here. He probably doesn't want to go through a complete rebuild, and he's been getting banged up a lot the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is his chance, and he knows it too. I would not be surprised if he asked to leave. But if he doesn't, look what he did today. He talked to the guys. Darrell Bevel said after the game he could not say enough about Matthew Stafford. He asked him to talk to the guys before the game last night. And he said he gave an emotional speech, and he was just overwhelmed, actually, by what Matt said to the team last night. And this is a team that really has nothing to play for. And here he is giving emotional, overwhelming speeches. This is Stafford's thoughts on what he said to his team the night before the game.
Talk about the game of football and why it's important. And I kind of shared my thoughts with my teammates. I didn't realize it was that moving, but I appreciate it. I was just honest. We're lucky to get to do what we do. We're part of history. We're a part of this group of people that gets to call themselves NFL players or coaches or whatever it is, and that's a huge responsibility. And just wanted those guys to know that I feel like every time I come to work, I bear that responsibility. I want to hold up my end of the bargain, and I just wanted them to know that that's what's really important to me about this game, and some other stuff. But that was kind of the gist of it.
That's a dude you want to play for, right?
For real. Absolutely. That's been the fun thing about this, too, is I feel like we've gotten to learn a lot more about who Matthew Stafford really is as a person. And that's kind of been brought to the light. And just the amount of respect that I have for him has gone up so much the last couple of years. It really does sound with like the things that he said last night, the fact that he had that talk, it almost seems like the writing's on the wall, and that's kind of where things are moving towards. So, I mean, it would not shock me at all. I said earlier, I would be surprised if he straight up asks to leave. I don't think he's going to have to. I think they're going to end up wanting to kind of start over and go from that point. So that's going to be, if not, that very well could be the most talked about story in the offseason, aside from the draft.
Yeah, I think you got to start right there, don't you? Because we mentioned the Jags and the Jets are going to draft quarterbacks most likely. unless something crazy happens, they're drafting quarterbacks. Then who's the number one quarterback out there? Carson Wentz, maybe, and Matthew Stafford. Like, those are the two dudes that are in the league right now that teams are going to want. So he could really set the entire market for free agency and for trades and whatever happens this offseason. And he mentioned it here. Because last week also, I'm playing because I'm the quarterback of the Detroit Lions. This is what I do. This is why I'm playing. But why else? Man, I think there's more to it, actually, even. These past few weeks, and it might be Darrell Bevel and the new, attitude and bringing a little fun back to the game, even though they're losing games. But Stafford has looked a lot different the past couple of weeks, and especially playing through things. Do you think – I couldn't help but think a little last week and then again this week. I'm like, this dude's sending a message to the league. Come get me. I can still play. Look what I'm doing with nothing. I'm literally nothing as far as teammates, and my whole body's broken, and I'm still out here balling. Like, I almost felt like that was like a text to other GMs. Hey, come get me. Hey, Saints, come get me. See what I'm doing? I got one working limb out of freaking 4. Look what I'm doing. I couldn't help but think that the entire game.
Oh, I agree with you. I was shocked that he even played this week. I mean, he really has no reason to play.
No.
Being all banged up with the multiple injuries, literally nothing to play for.
Other than I'm the quarterback for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. I'm not using any of my sick days.
I'm not letting my boys down.
Yeah.
My center doesn't have a throat. I can play. I don't know, man. If it was the last game, they lose, but man, he put on a show, and in fact, Marvin Jones said it in the post game. Let's go make it the 9-11 show, and they certainly did. The one TD, as we said, got called back, but with his 2 touchdowns. Listen to this. Marv, who's a free agent, who's excited to be a free agent, and he's been saying that for weeks. He becomes Lions receivers with 35 career touchdowns or more. Calvin Johnson, 83. Herman Moore, 62. Marvin Jones, 36. He is now 3rd on the Lions' all-time receiving touchdowns list. Pretty good group to be with.
Holy cow.
Yeah, pretty good group. And he got 35 earlier in the game, obviously. And he was in a tie with Terry Barr, Johnny Morton, and Leonard Thompson. He caught that second one and moved in front of them. So last time we might be seeing Marv, and he really stepped up, man, after Galladay went down for what ended up being the year, like the last 8 games or whatever it was. Marv caught a pass in every single game he played for the Lions in his 5 years in Detroit.
That's crazy.
98 games. Only 6 receivers entered the weekend with longer streaks, and those are like some big-name dudes. Larry Fitzgerald, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Golden Tate is on that list, Jarvis Landry, dudes who are perennial Pro Bowl and all-pro dudes, and Marv is right there. A catch every single game he has played for the Detroit Lions.
I mean, yeah, it would be great if, he could stay here in Detroit and Stafford stay here and they take a year or 2 to rebuild and then go for it. But, I think that ship has sailed, at least for Stafford. So,
well, and you look at the numbers. The offense is not bad. It's middle of the road again. I think it was low or high teens. I'm not positive total, but middle of the road. But it's because the rushing game again is dead last. Dead last again in rushing.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
And that has been the story of this franchise since who retired in 1999. So that has been the story of this franchise. They can't even get middle of the road rushing. So Stafford and whoever his receivers are have to do everything. That was the case again this year. And once again, the worst defense in the NFL. But it's his fault, you know. But it's his fault. Anything about the game that stood out to you at all? I mean, these dudes don't know how to tackle. That was like maybe the most evident, if it wasn't all year. Today, it was just unbelievable. Anything that stood out on the game for anybody that wants to talk about a meaningless game other than the penalties we talked about or the referee mishaps, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I got something to talk about. I'll talk about Joe Montana playing for the Vikings. I mean, Kirk Cousins.
You like that? You like that?
I went back and looked at Kirk Cousins' starts against Detroit as a Minnesota Viking.
It's unbelievable. One interception, I think, in like 6 games or something like that.
6 games, 1,600 yards, an average of 270, 15 touchdowns, 2.5 a game, 1 interception in 198 pass attempts.
And that includes today?
And that includes today.
And he went for 4+ today, right?
Yeah, and that gives him an average of 125.6 passer rating in those 6 games. And that interception was in his very first game against Detroit.
Was it?
Yep. So he's had 178 straight pass attempts against Detroit without a pick. I mean, these numbers are insane.
Yeah, and especially, again, speaking of middle of the road, for a middle of the road quarterback, he is putting up greatest QB of all time numbers against you.
Right. And then that's why, there's no point in bringing up Rodgers or anything like that because, you expect it out of Rodgers. And I'm not even sure if Rodgers' numbers are this good against Detroit.
I don't want to look at those. We've already been down that road. How about this since we're doing history major stat boy stuff here? DeAndre Swift has 10 touchdowns on the season. Took one in today. He is the 4th Lions rookie with 10 touchdowns in a season. Any idea who the others are?
Barry. Billy
Sims.
I want to say somebody in the Kevin Jones era, around that time.
Well, that would be Kevin Jones, but no.
Well, when they went through a different running back almost every year, it just seemed like somebody had a bunch of touchdowns in that between Barry and now.
And well, there is one guy, and now I can't think of his name. He tore his Achilles. He was the running back at Illinois, and I can't think of his name.
You big dummy.
And then he never played again after playing here. But no, he is not. The other guy, Doak Walker. Maybe you've heard of him. Yeah.
Nope. No
Billy,
clue.
Barry, and Doak. Just some of the greatest of all time.
Jeez, nice company.
That's pretty good company. That is pretty good company. So, that's the deal. One other thing, and the big news before the game today, as we mentioned, these questions are going to start getting answered. The Lions are already doing interviews for the GM and the coaching position. Ian Rappaport with a bombshell of a tweet today and then a story on NFL.com. He says the Lions are targeting a name that no one thought of or at all until today, and that is Seahawks general manager John Schneider. That apparently, according to the rap sheet, is their main dude. Now, that would be great. Obviously, the Seahawks have been great for a decade here. He is the general manager. He does not have control of that team. Pete Carroll is pulling the strings there. He obviously plays a major role in that. But he does not have final say on moves. So kind of strange there. He then told, I don't know if this was the Seattle paper or the website, he kind of crapped on that report. Now, what's he going to do? What's he going to come out and say, yeah, I hope to go. Yeah, I don't have total control here. I want total control. He talked about this being that time of year, and it sucks because your friends are going to lose jobs, and then your friends are going to move, and, you know, you're not going to get to see your buddies anymore, and people may never work again, da-da-da. Lots of rumors going on. I've been on both sides of it. And at the end, he says, our coaches and people, they're going to be looking at our personnel people and guys that are going to interview for jobs as well. So that's exciting. But, yeah, that's about it. That's about that. We're good. Take what you want out of that. He's saying, I'm good here is what I take out of that. He has no interest in leaving whatsoever. So believe what you want with that.
Is that the equivalent to like, oh, well, you know, Bill Belichick's number one on our want list.
Right. Yeah, you can want a lot of stuff. Yeah. You could want a lot of things.
That's kind of what I thought when I first read that story. I was like, sure, I bet they do, but
right.
I don't know if there's anything tangible to even bring it up at this point.
Absolutely. Fox reports they have interviewed Marvin Lewis, made the playoffs dang near every year with the Bengals, never won a playoff
and
game.
then didn't win.
Never won a playoff game.
I feel like we talked about that a few weeks ago when Patricia got fired. I thought I brought up his name and I said that doesn't really help them accomplish their goal of trying to win in the playoffs.
Absolutely. So, yeah, he may help you get there, but yeah, can he win once he's there? Eric Bieniemy scheduled allegedly for a.
I know a lot of people are excited about that.
Robert Saleh as well, the DC from Dearborn of the 49ers. Bieniemy, obviously the OC from the Chiefs, who everybody on earth loves. So, you know, those guys are going to start getting interviews, but those two have been reported that that's going to happen this week. And then, as we said, all the questions around the people on the team. So many free agents on this team. Kenny Galladay, who did not play like the last half of the year and didn't start the year, the first few games. What is that guy thinking, Dave? Do you have any idea what's in that guy's mind? Because his contract was a big talking point coming into the season. Then he doesn't play all year. The team blows. His quarterback may be out of town. If I'm that dude, I'm probably skipping town.
I'm really torn on that, too, because, I mean, if he's going to command all this money, is it smart for Detroit to give that to him? I mean, for a team that's trying to rebuild, and I mean, do you want to throw all that money at some dude who might not play, you know, year to year or whatever? Like, I know this is just, you know, he might not have played this year, you know, for multiple reasons, you know, with being hurt, but like, I mean, he hasn't been the healthiest dude since he's been in the league either. So I don't know. That just seems like a red flag to me. If you're going to throw, you know, top wide receiver money at this guy, like with this situation, I don't know. I'd be leery of that.
I don't know what the answer is there. Marvin Lewis, obviously, we talked about Marvin Jones. We talked about, Agnew, free agent. Okwara is going to want some money. One good thing that Bob Quinn did, that dude, they just took him off waivers.
Yep.
Comes here, played great, double-digit sacks, first guy to do that since Ziggy Ansah. He's going to get paid. And then Matthew Stafford, absolutely, what do you do there? Who knows what you do there? So I decided we have all these questions. We don't know where these guys are going to go. We don't know who wants them. Do the Lions want them? Do the Saints want them? Do the Patriots want some of these guys? They got to rebuild. They got to figure something out. Who wants these guys? I figured we'd play a new game today. It's called Friend Requests.
It's time for Friend Request.
It's time for friend request. It's time for friend request. Will you be my friend?
No. This might be the last show I ever do with you.
I don't know who let the robot sing. Was that the robot from Rocky IV? What was that?
Oh, good Lord.
Okay, the rules to friend request are very difficult, so follow me here. I will give you a player, coach, whatever, and you let me know which team is going to friend request them. Complicated, I know. We'll start right there with Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay opens up his Facebook, and he has some friend requests. Dave, who are those friend requests from?
It's going to be somebody who has one of those elite talent quarterbacks. The first team that comes to mind when it comes to targeting free agent wide receivers is somebody like the Jets. But it's like you said, even if it's one of those first two guys, is that somebody that they're going to want to go play with?
Right.
Like the number one team right now that I think of that needs a number one wide receiver and would be a good place to go would be Houston.
Yeah, because they kind of lost their dude inexplicably.
Just terrible. I mean, ridiculous.
Worst trade in the NFL history.
Will Fuller, also a free agent going into the next year.
Right, and I feel like he's a player that's going to move on from there too. He's been successful there, but I think he's a guy that needs to get away from there too. Something in the water must not be sitting well with him and gets hurt all the dang time. But I think Golladay hooking up with Watson would be great.
So Carson Wentz opens up his Facebook later this evening, and he probably has a bunch of friend requests. Who is friend requesting Carson Wentz, who is expected to be requesting a trade? Jalen Hurts, now the starter, at least for the last couple of games, and you would expect going forward.
That's a tough one. You got some teams, Denver, who you don't know if they're sold on Drew Lock. I think John Elway has some decisions to make about him if he wants to continue to see what he has. Vegas, who could be moving on from Derek Carr, because that just doesn't seem to be a formula that mixes well. I don't think Carolina is sold on Teddy Bridgewater. San Francisco, you mentioned earlier. So a lot of those franchises, and the other one being New England, who's going to have a big hole for quarterback as well. But Mike, I do have concerns about Carson Wentz and what's going to become of him because of ever since he got hurt, he hasn't been the same dude. Now, is that because he's in Philadelphia and there's I think it's been confirmed that there's tension between him and the organization and definitely Doug Peterson. So
right.
With the game being so much mental, especially for quarterback, I really wonder if he's just, if there's something that's going to stick with him or if it's going to be like a fresh start. Like we talk about so many other players leaving. So he's one guy I definitely throw caution at.
Sure. We know he can do it, though, because we've seen it. The dude was the MVP of the league before he got hurt. He was the unquestioned MVP of the league in his second year. He does have a potential out in his contract in 2022, but he is signed through the 24 season. Something else to remember, he is on the books for any team who wants to pick him up. Here's one for you. There are reports that this guy is not going anywhere, but nothing is signed yet. And we have heard nothing but rumors for about 3 months. Jim Harbaugh opens his Facebook. Does he hear that noise? And who if anyone, from the NFL is friend requesting Jim Harbaugh, who allegedly has agreed to a deal to stay at Michigan through 2026. Jim Harbaugh is allegedly in California on vacation and not signing a contract for some reason. Apparently, we don't have fax machines anymore or email, or you can't text the contract to him. Like, what are we doing? He can't sign that. We're just wasting
Can't e-sign
time
that
here.
now?
Why are we waiting until Black Monday to let NFL teams, if there is any interest, even think about this guy? What are we doing here? Anyway, does he hear this, David?
I'm hearing Ryan.
Is he in California because he is getting a friend request from the Los Angeles Chargers, who are reportedly going to fire Anthony Lynn at the end of the season, aka tomorrow? That was one of the first teams that came to mind. I could totally see that being a fit. Now, whether the reports are true, if he's going to re-sign with Michigan and stay there, for whatever reason, I just don't have the feeling that he's going to leave Michigan unless he's forced to. I don't think he's going to make another change unless he has to. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think if he does get the friend request, they're all going to be denied.
Denied. Yeah. All right. Yeah. See, I don't see it either. And I've been telling everybody, when's Harbaugh getting fired? He's not getting fired.
You sure, Ryan?
He's not. It's not going to happen. And all this Lions aren't interested in him. I don't see that at all. I agree. I think he will be at Michigan unless there's some nut job owner out there that gives him like $12 million a year or something. Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like
he's at the Gold Club in Atlanta. That's the only way. Yeah, I see this happening. Next up on the list, another interesting one. Let's say the Lions are in need of a quarterback and they go and maybe with whatever pick they get, they take Mr. Zach from BYU, or maybe they do trade up, but the quarterback isn't quite ready. And we see a repeat of this season, which was a repeat of numerous other seasons. Ryan Fitzpatrick opens up his Facebook. Does he have a friend request from the Detroit Lions? Does he have a friend request from anybody else?
Not from the Lions. And I'm going to be selfish here and hope that the Steelers send him a friend request.
Really?
Yeah, I think if this, depending on what happens in the free agency, because the Steelers do have a lot of guys that they could potentially lose, but they're at the doorstep. So, if Ben goes down, yes, Mason Rudolph played great today. He played the best he's ever played, but that's just one game, and he's been way more worse than good.
Worse.
But I feel like more worser.
Yes, there you go. Correct.
But I feel like Fitzpatrick is a guy that can step in and would be able to maintain some success, especially with the guys that are there, the weapons that he has. So I'm one of the people that was bummed when he got benched for Tua. I thought he was doing a good job, especially when it wasn't expected out of the Dolphins. So I will forever be a Ryan Fitzpatrick fan. He will definitely get friend requests, though. I mean, he will be on somebody's roster next year. And maybe even not the Jets, but you look at the Jaguars or one of these other teams that are going to look to take a quarterback early.
I think there's no reason he won't be on the Jets.
Yeah.
There's zero reason to think that he won't be the Jags, the Jets, the Lions, any other team that has a rookie quarterback. I think you could see the exact same. You could see deja vu. The last one that I have. Yeah, it just keeps going. It is Matthew Stafford. Apparently doesn't have any social media whatsoever. He leaves that up to Kelly Stafford.
Good for him.
But if he did, this would be the noise for about the next month. Who are all these dingbats hitting up Matthew Stafford?
Excellent question.
Okay, are you ready? The
Just
Rams,
repeat the
Niners,
list I already
Saints,
read.
The
Yeah.
Bucks, the Panthers, the Falcons, Washington, the Giants. No, quarterbacks 1 through 8 may be set, or some of the teams that have rookies. Dolphins, Chargers. Aside from those teams, I think everybody. I think only the ones that are contenders or that are losing a veteran that are close is who he would consider. And I think that's probably who would offer the most as far as trading goes, too.
You got a top 3 because I'm going to stay with the one that I've been saying all year. I've been saying it since before he even got hurt. New Orleans. And now it's all but been said today that Drew is retiring. This is it. He will be done after this year. He's going to NBC. They are going to groom him to do, well, he's going to do Notre Dame football, and then they are going to groom him to be the new man sitting next to Al Michaels, if Michaels is still around, or Tirico to be the new Chris Collinsworth. That is what he's going to do. And, I mean, it's over. Like that, to me, it's the Saints.
1,000%. From every aspect of it.
Now, if you hear anybody else, Fox today said that the Pats are interested, and that is, quote unquote, the perfect fit, is what they said, for Stafford to go to New England. I think that's definitely a possibility. I don't know what their cap situation is or anything like that, but you have like a top 3. To me, the Saints are the spot. If he goes there, look out.
Yeah, especially if Breeze is retiring. There's those spots that we talked about with, the guys that may be moving on, where I don't think Brady's going to retire after the way that he's turned it on towards the last few games of the season. So I think the Bucks are going to be out. Phillip Rivers could retire, so going to the Colts, that would be a good situation. I've said it multiple times that I will gladly take him over on the Steelers. Well, I mentioned Drew Lock earlier. If anybody seems like an Elway guy, it's Stafford, right?
Very comparable. Except where Elway actually won games, he just kept falling short of the Super Bowl.
Right. Except towards the end, but
right.
Yeah.
When he had a running game.
Oh, weird.
Wow.
How's that work?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think they had a pretty decent defense too.
There's a lot to you hear the 49ers a lot. The Broncos is another name, and then the wild card to me, and I don't know that this would happen because they have so much money tied up already, is the Cowboys because of Jerry.
Right.
And because Stafford's from there. And could you see another Roy Williams situation where he wants to bring the homeboy home?
Yeah, and that's a pretty good offense to go to too. I mean, he's definitely got weapons at the receiver spot. The other team I was going to throw out was the Rams. I've heard that too because just souring on Goff, but I don't see that happening. I think they'll stick it out with Goff, and I don't really think they're going to be very good for a little while. I think they need to make some improvements. So I don't really feel like they would be a big player either, but that's another name that I've heard.
How about for coach? Same thing as always, Saleh? Is it anybody else that stands out?
Let me throw this name at you. And he's been a head coach before and considered it again. What about like a guy like Josh McDaniels? What do you think of?
I don't know what to think of that because, the way it went in Denver, then he goes back to New England, and, they're doing well in New England as long as they had Brady and whatever. They've been fine. I don't think they're going to go back down that road, not immediately. I cannot see them. Yeah, we just had the defensive coordinator. Even though it really means nothing, they're not the same person. They don't have the same personality. All of that. I just don't see how they look their fan base in the face and do that.
I agree.
Not here. He might get friend requests from some other team. Not Detroit.
Right.
Not Detroit.
Right.
No.
But that would be, if that were to happen, that would be one person that I could see polling to keep Stafford.
Sure.
So
it just depends. I think whoever the GM is, we went through this with Quinn, and I've said this numerous times on this show. When Quinn was asked his very first day, hey, what do you think about Stafford? Are you keeping? He just cut the dude off and was like, we are not getting rid of Matthew Stafford. Now,
right.
The new GM might do that too. He might see that you're losing games, defensively, that you gave up 6 times more than 35 points. And he may see that and go, Stafford's not the problem. We got to get some D guys. I don't know. Or he might say we just need to totally redo this. It's going to depend on that person. It really is.
Yeah.
But all of them will want him. I will tell you that. They will want him. They will all say the same stuff Bob Quinn did to themselves, but it's just whether I'm in charge now, is this best for 3 years from now?
Would that be the most anticlimactic thing after all this, that Stafford just ends up staying in Detroit?
It would be the most Lions thing. Like if it's just nothing. Like if nothing happens at all. Like there's not even a rumor or anything. It's just like business as usual.
Right.
That would be the most Lions thing ever. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I mean, there's too much noise around it. And the way Matt answered everything, the way Matt acted, as we said earlier, the past few weeks, and maybe it's stuff we haven't heard before because of who was the coach. And Bevel will just tell you anything. He doesn't give a rip, man. He doesn't care. Like, he doesn't give a crap. He spilled the beans that his soon-to-be son-in-law asked him for his daughter's hand in marriage on a press conference she didn't even know yet. So this dude will tell you anything. So maybe that's part of it. But I do think there's something to him possibly wanting to move on. And there will be calls made. There will be calls. Like
in and out. Yeah, absolutely.
John Elway's going to call. Belichick's going to call. The Saints better call. So.
I really can't think of that Saints thing. Just too perfect.
It makes too much sense, man.
It
does. It makes way too much sense.
Playing for a guy like Sean Payton.
You got the best receiver, arguably, in the league. You got to do everything back. You got defensive help for once.
Here you go. That just made me think of this. Jameis Winston. Does he get a friend request from the Detroit Lions?
Wow. No.
No? All right.
No. He may be a different person, but we don't know that. And
True.
A dude trying to come in here and build a culture and build whatever is not going to bring that guy in. Especially now, Peyton does some weird things, especially when that guy wasn't good enough to win the starter job when Drew Brees was down. I don't see that happening. And we have heard nothing that he was like a bad dude or anything in New Orleans, but no. Let's say no on that. Well, Dave, this is it, man. This is week 17. So as far as Lions go, this is the end. Anything else that you want to say as unless news breaks or anything like that, we will be here. But anything else you want to say before next time, which we don't know when next time will be?
As tough as the situation as it's been for Detroit this year, this has been fun. It's been fun watching the fight for the guys that have been on the team. And, Detroit gets a lot of crap for underperforming and not having success. But I will give a shout out to the guys that are on the team that go out there and practice every day, bust their butts every day. J.J. Watt had his big speech the other day about the privilege that it is to be an NFL player. And, Detroit, they've got some guys on that team that kind of look at things that way, I'm sure. So, just shout out to those guys that do bust their butts and are really good teammates and try so hard to be a successful franchise, for whoever they play for, whether it's the Lions or any other franchise. Just got to give kudos to that guys. Even the guys that don't perform well, they go out there and they do their best. Like I said, it's been fun, and looking forward to other topics of discussion that we will come up with. And just appreciate everybody taking their time to listen, to watch, and comment, and likes, and all that stuff. You guys are really appreciated. We have a lot of fun doing this, and just hope everybody enjoys it as well.
Absolutely, man. That's the biggest thing. Thanks to anybody that listened to us babble, any of our ideas, thoughts, whatever, good and bad, as we always say, man, let us know. Leave it in the comments. If you have any thoughts on anything, if you got somewhere that you think Stafford might go, Carson Wentz might go, whoever it is, Kenny G, is he going to stay? Let us know, man. And we appreciate it. And we will still be here. We are going to continue to do this. Just won't be hitting on the Lions very much because they are toast until we hear some news, either on a coach, GM, Stafford, whatever the heck it is. And we will bring it to you then. But thanks so much. It's been a lot of fun, and we will see you for the playoffs next week when we get to talk about, Dave, good football. How about it? How about it? Appreciate everybody. We'll see you then.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.